try something a bit different, and I'd like to use my little bit advanced counseling skills and psychology knowledge, not any qualifications, but knowledge, to maybe give advice to anyone who has any questions. What can be completely anonymous. You can know if it's a friend of a friend you want to ask about. If you want to ask about a phobia or a fear you have, or a hello to you too. Howdy. It's Alexandra, and it's Seagull, and it's Explode Force. Yeah, so basically today I'd like to try something different, and let me know how the wind is, by the way. Hopefully it isn't too bad. But yeah, I'd like to try something different, and if you have any questions, anonymous or whatever, about fears or your mental health or coping strategies, or even, advice on friendships and that sort of thing, while I don't claim to be qualified at all on anything, I'd like to offer my anonymous, dubious advice, and my personal opinion, if you'd like. So this is about you. Not me, you. So you ask me whatever you'd like about you. I want to know about you today. And howdy to you too. Yeah, just enjoying the forest today, and I thought, today I'd try something a bit different, as I said, and ask you about if you have any questions to me, or any personal recommendations or advice, if you'd like a second opinion on anything. Oh, here's one. Skull Luigi asks, how do I ask a girl out? So it really depends. Like, if you're going on something like approach, there's been times, I've just gone up to a lady and said, I went to jury duty once, and I just saw this beautiful young lady, and I just said to her, excuse me, ma'am, I know you don't know me, but my name's Josh, and I just think you are absolutely beautiful. Would you be interested maybe in getting a drink together sometime, or something like that? I don't use the term coffee because, that sounds like, dubious, so that sort of thing. But just approach with humility, humbleness, and just say, and just be as polite as you can, and caring and interested in them, and say what it is about them. And they may be really flattered. If someone asked me out or something like that, I'd be absolutely flattered. And even if they say no, I bet they'll walk away with a smile that day. So personally, that's how I'd ask a person out. Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Have you played Fallout? So today, these questions are about you, my friend. I'm going to try and answer questions that you have about, if you'd like a second opinion on something, I'd like to try and give it. It's something a bit different than my stupid information on whether I, like games or not, Do you hate Fortnite? Again, here's one. Do you have advice on anxiety, or have trouble making friends? I grew up having that's from Galaxy Blueberry. If you don't want your name mentioned, let me know. Advice on anxiety or making friends. So I had trouble making friends a lot, all growing up actually. Generally I found though through clubs, like I went to anime clubs when I was younger in my teen years because I had such a hard time making friends. I didn't have any friends in school. So I found anime club really helped because that let me, if you can bond with someone over something you both like, that's really helpful. Sometimes that might be Dungeons and Dragons games, or theater. That was another one where I made some friends, theater. When you're doing group activities that you both enjoy, sometimes you don't have to necessarily know what to say, and that's the thing. Friendship isn't just about having stuff in common and talking about stuff. It's about enjoying each other's company and doing things together. So I would say Meetup is what I've used recently to make some of my closest friends now I made on Meetup through my Humanist Club of Friends, where I actually made the Meetup, and they came to meetings and now we hang out together. So I would say clubs that you can do together are your best bet. That's what's worked for me. You don't have to be a great conversationalist, you just have to enjoy the same stuff. Can you visit the Philippines? Oh, here's one. My schizophrenia, this is from Fully Baked. Schizophrenia basically means that relationships are nigh on impossible. Do you have any tips for sort of making any social connection whatsoever? Absolutely, Fully Baked. That's part of why I actually like the mall, because I don't actually always have that many connections per day. I can quite easily stay inside all day. sometimes the best thing to do is just to have acquaintances. And again, this is where I would actually come back to something like, for me, running club was a big deal, because even if you can't talk with a person, if you had something like schizophrenia, you can still do an activity with them, and that is almost as good. So if you can run with them, if you can do a movie club together, I really recommend meetup.com for just seeing if there's something in your local area. And the thing is, you'll find there are people there who are just as scared as you are, or struggling just as much, and are just happy to have someone to see a movie with. So, and I know it's scary, but once you've done it once, it suddenly gets easier every time. So I would definitely recommend that. See if there's an interest you have, and if there's a group in your area. If you like tennis, join a tennis club. A ping pong. My dad also has trouble making friends, so a ping pong club was really helpful to him. Because he loves ping pong. So, and keep in mind, you're not alone. It's not easy, and there are a lot of people out there more than ever who are struggling to make friends. So, that would be my advice. Okay, I'm going to go with the next one from Vegeta. Vegeta5412. I've been dealing with suicidal thoughts for the past couple of months because I hit my breaking point because of college. Contemplate not too long. How do I get these thoughts out of my head? Vegeta, that's very serious, and for one, I'm very sorry if you've had those thoughts. And my first advice would be to speak to someone about this. Someone you can trust, though. I would actually say you should be speaking to a counselor. That's a very serious thing, and obviously out of my bracket of understanding. But the other thing is to, the first thing to do, though, is to speak about it, because when I have had those thoughts in the past, it's something where I've needed to talk to someone to actually get myself back on ground, because when we're in our own mind, everything can just go out of hand. But when we make those, it's like Mr. Rogers says, anything that is mentionable is manageable. So once you can actually talk about it, it suddenly can become more understandable and manageable. And remember, it's okay to be scared, and that you need to take it day by day sometimes. Sometimes in our heads it's easy to get just thinking about the far future ahead or the far past behind us and get deeply cut in the regrets. But remember that all you can do is be in this moment right now that you are in. That's the only thing you can do. And so take it one day at a time, and make sure you speak to someone, please. And the next question will be, my name is... okay, here we go. This one's from El Torito Films. Hello, Strider. My name is Enrique. I have anxiety, and whenever this happens, I get triggered by daydreams of stuff that I don't like. And how do I cope with that? Triggers of daydreams of stuff you don't like. Well, that sounds a little bit like post-traumatic stress disorder, El Torito, and it might not be. But what my recommendation would be for that is, it's very easy to get caught up in your thoughts, and for those thoughts you start to avoid, because, and I've had this many times myself, and thoughts are like quicksand. When you have thoughts that you are really scared of and try and avoid and not think of, you get tangled up in those thoughts, and it's called thought entanglement. So amazingly enough, the best actual recommendation I would have is to allow those thoughts. I think you've heard me say it before when I was talking about Legend of Korra and anxiety videos, you might have. But when you actually allow those thoughts, there is absolutely nothing that we can't think about, that we can't actually learn to cope with, that I know of. And I've thought of all of that stuff that you're thinking of right now. And the thing is that once you actually acknowledge it and allow that your heart to palpitate and your heart to run and to be scared, you breathe through it. And once you can actually allow those thoughts, suddenly they don't dominate your thoughts, you can disentangle from them. And when you have those thoughts, treat your brain like an angry teenager. You acknowledge it, that you say, okay, thanks for sharing. If he says, oh, the world's going to end, oh, death, blah, 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 you say, okay, thanks for sharing. You acknowledge it, but you don't have to get your thoughts tangled up. A good way of looking at it is you put your hands up like this. You can still see your hands over here, but they're not completely in your field of vision. But when your thoughts are entangled, they can completely cover your vision like that. So you want to get those thoughts you're having away from your head a bit, and just still in your vision, but not completely dominating your thoughts. Now, sorry about going on for quite a while there, but that's my best advice on that. Okay, so next we've got, alright, New South Wales Steam fans. Anyone have any fears? I had a panic attack because of the 2019 copper situation, so I decided to watch animated movies on Stan. If anyone has fears, I recommend, okay, well, and that's the thing, is that if you have an anxiety attack over something, sometimes it's best to remember something that gives you pleasure, and if that's watching animated movies on Stan, you know, whatever works for you. But no, I'd say that's a good one. And the copper situation, as I said, there's really not much for you to be scared about, you know, unless you are actually making kids content with children like under 5s in them or something, or which none of you are. No one in this community is doing that. So there's really nothing to be scared of there. And I just realized, I'm so sorry. I think I got a donation and I think I missed it. My deep apologies if I have missed that, as it looks like it was a fair donation, and my apologies if I missed that. I can't see where it was, but anyway, I'll keep answering questions. Oh, well, there it is. Okay, so this is 123 Anya. I have what is believed to be stress-induced schizophrenia. I hear a voice in the back of my head that tells me things like I'm worthless and a mistake. Any advice to things to feel better? I try to ignore it. 123 Anya, I can absolutely give you advice on that, because I used, when I was 21, I started learning cognitive behavioral therapy. And I'm not saying it's a perfect solution, and that's the thing about a lot of this. It might help 10% or 20%, and that's why you've got to incorporate a few things, or just to make it a little bit better. So with those thoughts you're getting in the head, and those thoughts that are saying I'm worthless and that sort of thing, when you get that thought, stop it for a second, acknowledge it, and say, I'm going to piece apart that thought. Am I actually worthless? Think about the things you've done in the past, the times you've tried, when you've tried really hard in school, when you've tried in an activity, and say, is that really true? Am I worthless, or am I just in a state right now where I'm not feeling great? And the thing is that once you piece apart that thought, you're reconditioning those thoughts, and you'll find that if you keep doing that to those pest thoughts like worthless, you piece them apart and make them more realistic. They actually become much more understandable and digestible. This doesn't work for everyone, and for every thought. There are certain very, very black thoughts that doesn't work for, but that's where acceptance commitment therapy comes in, where you actually accept the thought. But for something like I'm worthless, like, you'll find that piecing apart that thought and saying, well, is that true? List out the information and make it realistic to yourself. And then, when you finish with a thought, acknowledge, okay, I'm not worthless, I am this and this, I've tried very hard on this and this, I actually am not worthless at all. And I guarantee you it can make a big difference. I'm sorry, I'm not getting through many questions because I'm being so elaborate on each one, but hopefully this is helpful. Okay, have you ever thought about becoming a therapist or oh, it's from Catpig. Hey Stride, have you ever thought about becoming a therapist or counselor for people that deal with mental issues? Really soft-spoken person and give helpful advice. Well, thank you, Catpig. I studied advanced counseling and psychology, and originally I was going to become a psychologist, and that's why I wanted to offer some anxiety tips today, and I don't claim to be qualified, so that's why I say that with big advice, but hopefully what I'm saying is based on research, counseling, psychology, psychiatrists, and my own experience. So I don't claim it's perfect, but I'd like to offer it. If you guys like this, by the way, let me know. And I'd definitely love to do this in the future, because I'm really passionate about this stuff. Straight to my man, how's life? Hey Asher, well, we're just doing a sort of anxiety tips video today. So if you have any questions about, or any advice on anything, hopefully I'm happy to offer my advice if you'd like. When there's voices in public or classrooms which are really annoying you, I'd say try to close your eyes and breathe a few seconds to take your mind out of the situation for a bit. So I think TJG, what you're talking about there, or what you're answering there, is when you have difficult times with like excessive noise and stuff, and I'm sensitive to noise too. Even that motorbike you just heard, that really sets me off. And for some Asperger's, it's like a jackhammer to the brain, and other people too with misophonia. I'm just going up a hill, sorry, but my advice for one thing is, sometimes when you're triggered by that, try and get yourself calmly out of the situation as calmly and quickly as possible. But also, as you said, a couple of controlled, slow, deep breaths. So like, and do 3 of those to 5 of those until you're feeling slightly more calm, can be very helpful. And understand also that being upset in noisy environments, you're not alone on that. So I would remind you of that, but what you're saying there, TLJ, is very good advice. Okay, and this one's saying, Mr. ADR says, Strider, these are great questions, by the way, guys. How do I not overreact? You know, that's a good one, and we had a talk about this in psychology once, in that it's not taking everything personally. And I know that sounds like very obvious advice, but the thing is, like, when we overreact, say, to our roommate not doing the dishes, because that's what every roommate problem is, not doing the dishes, just do the goddamn dishes, and, you know, we would have, you know, half less roommate issues. And remember that that person is their own world, and something we learn in our, say, 40s or so, is to stop worrying about what other people think, because everyone's taking everything personally. Like, everyone's more worried about themselves generally than they are worried about how you acted at a party last night, or what you said, you know, off the chance that didn't sound quite right. You know, people are far more concerned about their own image and that sort of thing. And overreacting in a situation, say like the car, where you've got something called corresponding inference bias, where you assume every person in the car is doing that horrible thing, you know, cutting you off in traffic because they're a jerk. That's called corresponding inference bias. And when you say we're cut off by someone walking in a forest, you say, oh, I'm sorry, or they say sorry about that, because we don't see them as real people when we're in the car. But when we can see them as people and they have face and emotions, the same thing happens online. So to get to a long point short, with taking things I would say just try and not take that as seriously, because honestly it probably has nothing to do with you. That you don't need to overreact to. Remind yourself, see what is going to your head in thoughts. Are you saying to yourself, oh, how dare that person say that? And think about it, like, well, maybe they had a bad day. Maybe it's more about them than it is about me. And try and piece apart your thoughts that are making you angry. And when you start to overreact, feel the emotions, take a deep breath, and see how that goes. And I don't know if that's the best advice for that one, but hopefully that's a little helpful. And this one's from Madame Crystal. I've got an odd anxiety issue. There's no odd questions. You ask whatever you like, Madame Crystal. I always want to fix problems, and I know I can't fix anything, but my brain keeps saying, fix it, like Fly in Futurama. How do I get it to cool down a bit? Madame Crystal, I'm actually going to say, in some cases, I have the OCD brain as well, and sometimes it is really difficult to stop your brain saying, fix it, make it better. Like, I walked by someone before and I saw something out of place, and my brain kept saying to me for about 10 seconds, go back and make sure that's right. And it's those thoughts do silence after a while, but the best thing to do is not to react to them, not to respond to them. So to breathe through them. So in case your brain is saying, fix this, actually breathe through it and try and resist, actually, because the thing is that if you have things called operant conditioning, so when you start actually reacting to that, your brain saying fix it, you reinforce it when you do try and fix it by actually reacting to it. But your brain stops reacting as much if you don't respond to it, but it's really difficult to not respond at first. So I hope I was on the right track there. Guys, there have been so many great questions. I apologize if I've missed your question, because I'm really going into detail with each one. So It's not that I'm ignoring them, I'm just going through whatever I get, because these are all great questions. Thank you so much for asking them. Hi, I really love your videos. I love you have justification for all your opinions and respect even if I disagree with you. Well, thank you, Lucy. It's more friends' problems. They just want to vent and want to solve everything and make them happy, and I know I can't. Madame, another thing to mention up with that is that you should walk away from your friends sometimes feeling happy. You should feel better when you walk away from your friends. If you have friends who you're constantly feeling miserable around and constantly venting to you and are just waiting to talk at you, remember that sometimes you may be better off on your own than with those people. Those people should be able to listen. Your friends should listen to you too when you have problems. That's part of it. Like, a good friendship is reciprocal. You can talk to someone and they should want to listen to you too. That's a healthy friendship, you know. So, and sometimes if you can't have that healthy friendship where they don't want to listen to you, you're better off finding other friends who will listen to you. You know, they should be not just waiting for their turn to speak, but want to know how you are and if you're doing okay. Okay, I have anger issues and autism. Do you have any advice on it? This is from Lyric. Anger issues and autism. Well, for one thing, Lyric, it's perfectly okay for you to have autism, and I want you to know there's a lot of us out there who do have autism, and it's just another wiring and brain of thinking. But also know that it's okay to be angry and mad, because I have those moments too where I get very angry at certain things, and it can be the silliest thing, can't it? There isn't, I don't know, a cut and dry answer to anger issues when you feel that deep anger. But once again, I would come back to saying to stop yourself, take a deep breath, count down, take yourself out of the situation where you're angry. If you're in a situation with someone you love or someone you're talking to who you're angry, actually walk away from the situation, say, excuse me, I need to take a break. And they will probably be very impressed at your self-discipline and calm. So walk out of that situation, take a deep breath, give yourself time to cool off, because you can't necessarily change that anger, but what you can do is you can control how you respond to those feelings. So if you say, you know, go out of a room where you're angry, and we found actually that beating things or, you know, punching a punching bag doesn't actually work nearly as well as just giving yourself time to cool off. I've seen some studies on that, and it's amazing just that giving yourself time to cool off works best. So I hope that's a little bit helpful. Let's see. I just realized how rude that sounded. Didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeb. I'm sure it was fine. I missed the question, sorry. Thanks for the advice. Really appreciate it. You're most welcome on. Yeah, I hope it was some assistance to you. Ever since I could remember, I always left class having no idea what said, resulting in hell when I was home with the amount of homework I have to figure out. The workload kills me. Any advice? Are you in school, Jake? Because I really struggled in school as well. The thing is that when you actually have an interest in what you're actually what the person is talking about, it can make a big difference. I would actually put myself in university at the front of the class, because I realized I would learn better and be more engaged in what the teacher was saying. But sometimes you can just have a boring subject you're not very good at, and just try to discipline yourself as best as you can to pay attention. Try not to give yourself distractions around you, like, you know, not having your phone out. Put your phone away, put it on silent, so you're not getting constant notifications to distract you. But the best way is to just minimize distractions if you're not interested in the subject. But on the plus side, when you get to university, you'll probably find I got into the golden key in university, even though I got D's in math, because I loved psychology. And so once you're actually interested and invested in the subject, you'll find you become an amazing student. Let's see. That might be a decent idea, thanks, Joe. If Josh reads this, I wrote a comment above twice. I'll see if I can find it, Emerald. There's a lot of questions, sorry. I must have missed it. But what do we got here? It's more to give advice. Ever since I could remember, I've got that one. What's the one thing that fascinates you the most about the human brain? Cadpig, that's a great question. What I love about the human beings and the Homo sapiens is we're in this constant watch of seeing the animal in us and the intellectual in us, the visceral and the intellectual collide. We see it in our mating, we see it in our in our entertainment, we see it in our conversation. When we're seeing this constant fight between the emotion, the amygdala, the limbic system, and the intellectual side, the prefrontal cortex, the higher order thinking. And I just love seeing that conflict between people in their brain that's going on with 86 billion neurons going in every single one of us at once, at this very second. And it's just a beautiful thing to me. It's the most fascinating thing. Having mental health issues myself, it's absolutely horrible to have. Clash, I'm so sorry you're going through that. I've struggled myself, probably not as much as you, but I've struggled with a lot of things myself and mental health issues in the past. I've struggled with OCD and anxiety recently, and depressive issues in the past, and a little bit of issues that come from the sensitivity of autism and Asperger's, but you're not alone for what it's worth, Clash. Oh, thank you, Far Cry. I'm glad you find these streams relaxing. And this is from John. I don't mind Star and Marco becoming love interested later. Yeah, I didn't mind either, but this is about mental health questions, so I'll try and make sure. Faces, cartoon characters. Let's see. Oh, that might be a decent idea. Thanks. Let's see, maybe in class try recording it. Yes, that's another good one, Madame Crystal. Great suggestion. Recording classes can help if you just have an audio recorder. Every phone app has a audio recorder. That's helped for me in the past, and I'll listen through again. And actually revising, and ask your parents as well. Like, ask them put it into a situation where you can ask what their advice is, what they went through when they were studying this subject. And the more we kind of rephrase something in our head, the more we start to remember it, and the more we start to understand it. Okay, you have a good night, TLG. Thanks for dropping in. Do you believe ASMR also helps with stress anxiety relief? Absolutely, Angelo. It's one of those, if it calms you down and sets off, cools down your fight or flight reflex, then it's something that helps for anxiety relief. I'm glad to hear about ASMR. It's a very funny thing, ASMR. I've been sort of looking at it on the sides, and it reaches people on a kind of weird subconscious level, and it reminds me of Freud being right in a few ways. Okay, so this is from Dante. Hey Strider, I have a podcast. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, you contact me on Twitter about that. ASMR helps a lot. I'm so glad to hear that, Clash. And keep that in mind. One of the most important things, we should have in good mental health and being alive is having something that gives you pleasure. Having a simple activity that you can look forward to. Even if it means, having something on the line, like I used to look forward to races and runs and that sort of thing, so I would have that on the line. Or if you're looking forward to going to Disneyland or something like that, have something. Or if you're looking forward to a nice meal or cooking your own dinner or watching something on Stan on Netflix, keep that in mind, when you're going through your day. Have something that gives you pleasure. And when you stop having something that gives you pleasure and don't take pleasure in something, that can be symptoms of depression, and it may be time to speak to someone and maybe speak to a counselor when you're not getting pleasure from something. Okay, this will take a minute of brainstorming. It was, thank you, and I am bullied at school, and it makes me want to quit it, but I don't want to. Lyric, I'm so sorry you're being bullied. I went through a lot of bullying at school, not a whole lot of bullying, and by high school I wasn't bullied as much, but I was kind of isolated a bit, and it hurts, it really does. And the most important thing to remember is that you should reach out to a parent or a teacher, and you shouldn't just ignore it. It's never no big deal. If it is hurting you and making you uncomfortable, make sure to reach out to your family, your friends, and because you should not be going into an environment daily where you have to learn and feeling uncomfortable and miserable. If they're making you uncomfortable, whether it be awkwardness, it's not acceptable. So make sure you talk to someone. Lyric. This is from Asher. Hey Strider, the problem in life I have is the autism of not knowing common knowledge. Autism of not knowing common knowledge, if that makes sense. Like, I'll ask someone things mean, they'll think I'm very dumb. What things mean, it's a funny thing sometimes, because we can have very select knowledge on subjects sometimes in autism and focus, like one of my autism focuses probably psychology, as I just get so involved in it. I find this with my dad too. He has certain things he focuses on that he's better at, and it can make us feel stupid sometimes, but it's also important to remember to focus sometimes on your strengths and on what you are good at. If you have a subject you're really good at, you should talk about that sometimes, and remember that you're really good at that. In terms of, it can feel like everything when we're not socially good, but when you put a person with autism in a room by themselves, suddenly our autism is kind of gone. We're just us, because we don't have to worry about our weakness of not being good at socializing and that sort of thing, and not knowing social cues. So, you're certainly not stupid. I can tell you that, Asha. And even if you aren't as intelligent as other people, remember what matters is being a good person. Hey, Strider, love your videos. Thank Wingless. How are you doing today, Strider? These streams are actually helping me relax. I don't like that I have to deal with anxiety attacks. I don't like it either, Far Cry, and I'm sorry you're going through them. I've had a lot over the last 2 years or so, and keep in mind, when an anxiety attack happens, you're probably safe, but you've got to wait. Your body is reacting, and it can start to make your thoughts erratic. And remember that you're okay, and to deep breathe through it, and that, that anxiety attack will pass. You just have to take deep breaths through it, have calm thoughts, and try and center yourself back in the moment. Take a look at, see if there's two things around you can see if there's one or two things you can feel. Try and identify two things you can hear. I'll give you an example here. Right now, I can hear two birds, I can hear the wind, I can feel this tree, I can see me, and I can see the forest, I can see a tree here. And as you actually start to identify things, that's called grounding yourself. And when you're having an anxiety attack, that can be really helpful to ground yourself like that. So that'd be my advice. And try to take deep breaths as you're grounding yourself. Oh, this is from Medicine Monday. Hey, Strush, should I keep playing games like Alive like the other day? I've been walking around the thought for a day or so. Medicine, I really enjoyed it. I'd love for you to get a few people participating in case I'm not available, because even though I really enjoyed it, I thought I'd actually enjoy it on my workout sometime if I dropped into your live stream or something like that where you're playing a game. And also that was a great choice of game for me, because you knew I'd actually really enjoy the body language reading of stuff. That really fascinates me. So thank you for that enjoyable experience. So does anyone else have any other anxiety tips, questions? Cadpig, what do you do to calm yourself during panic attacks? I had really horrible last week, which was one of the most miserable days of my life so far. I really can't say I've recovered either. Cadpig, it can sometimes take a long time for us to recover from a really bad anxiety attack, because it can leave us in a fight or flight state, where we're just on edge. And one thing I would say that I haven't mentioned is what I'm doing now. Actually being out in nature can be a really big help to anxiety. It actually has been found in long-term studies and randomized controlled trials to help with post-traumatic stress disorder. So that is a really big one, to be out taking walks. Just being around nature can have a huge help. Being around the ocean, and when you have those panic attacks, that is part of what I'd recommend. Make sure that you're regularly getting outside and that you're regularly walking around, exercising. There's a reason doctors do recommend, doing a little bit of exercise per day. And it's not just because of our physical health, it's because it's our mental health. Because your physicality is your mentality. Your brain is just a muscle. It's a freaking amazing muscle with 86 billion neurons and 1 trillion synapses, but it's still a muscle. And so it's a funny thing, that. Okay, hey Josh, I'm Jeff. Hey Jeff, I probably should stop telling this since you already know you're very smart on these anxiety subjects, and talking to you is a real stress reliever. Well, thank you, Jeff. You know, you're most welcome. I have loved doing this today, and even though it's getting darker, and I'm deeply sorry if I missed one of your questions, hopefully the answers I have given might have been some help to you, because I've loved talking about it. Have you ever watched Onward? These are anxiety tips questions today at CMC, but I haven't watched it myself. I'm watching a man walk in the forest while eating udon stir fry. Well, that's perfectly fine, GSR, because every night I used to eat chicken stir fry. But I recently changed for the first time in 6 years to chow mein. Now I eat chow mein stir fry every night, and I like that. Oh, this is from Emerald. The only issue is I am pretty young. Oh, okay, sorry, I might even miss the question there. I have no idea how to ban people. That's okay, Medicine. I saw you got that person to stop spamming, and I appreciate that. I'm bisexual, and this is from Adam. I'm bisexual, and with the help of my friend, I'm going to come out. My brother and I'm very anxious. Adam, that's really brave of you to come out. I have a friend, didn't fully come out till he was like 30 or 40, 35, and it can take a lot of courage. And I hope you know that you are perfectly acceptable the way you are. You're perfectly okay the way you are, and that if they don't accept that about you, that's their problem, not yours. You're perfectly okay the way you are, and I really admire your bravery in coming out about that, Adam. It's really cool. Don't worry if my friends talk at you types. I'm just always trying to fix things. Don't worry, this one does lead to another question that I'll post in a bit. You go for it, madame. I'll have to finish up soon because it's getting dark, but hopefully I can get a question or two more. Let's see. What do you think about Elon Musk wanting to put computers in people's heads? The idea is for the computer to show that what you are thinking. I don't know. Elon is a big dreamer, so that's kind of a psychology question, so I'll answer that. I don't think that's going to be possible quite yet, because I think until we can actually get the idea of artificial intelligence and that sort of thing, but abstract thought and managing to emulate in a computer 86 billion neurons firing at once, and even getting a child brain is impossible. So I think Elon's a great dreamer, and he keeps a very positive look on the future, but I don't think that's likely to happen for maybe in our lifetimes, and I hope so. And if it does, that's amazing. To be able to emulate the beautiful thing that we are, is just incredible. Imagine that. It's a trillion synapses emulated. The rest of the family are homophobic, so I don't know where to go from there. Adam, that's another really important thing, is to be, my dad, I have family members who aren't fully accepting, not all of them, but I have people in my life who aren't fully accepting of those sort of subjects. So, I do understand. And so sometimes choose the people you trust and who care about you, who are going to validate you. But at the same time, you may find that your family is much more accepting than you think. But either way, no, it's their problem, not yours, if they don't accept you. But I really hope they do accept you for who you are, because it's okay to be you the way you are. Hey Strider, lately I've been under a lot of stress and I've lost tons of, this is from Sporty Good, I've lost tons of sleep due to school and getting proper prep for college. Do you have any advice to help me out in the long run? Sporty Goods, that is just a tough road. That really is a tough road when you're, I've missed a ton of questions, I'm so sorry. That's just a tough road when you're getting prepped for college. I would say what you're doing right, just the very basic stuff. Eat reasonably well, get some veggies in, make sure you try and take some time to do something you enjoy every day, listen to a song you like, make sure you're getting a little bit of exercise and walking around, or running is even better. But when I was going through college, for example, university in psychology, I went through those periods where I had like 3 assignments due and I was just so stressed. And just make sure you give yourself time to discipline yourself to deep breathe, do things you enjoy that give you pleasure every night. Make sure you've still got time for you time, and see friends, and make sure, because you will get through it. You'll get through it. I know you sound like a very disciplined, intelligent young person, so I'm wishing you the absolute best of luck with it. My name is Judy. This is from Jika. Hi, Judy. I keep getting bullied at school, and I even got beaten up because of my medical conditions. Do you have any advice on how to look at the positive side of life and avoid bad thoughts? Judy, that is a really tough one, and I'm sorry that you've got bullied. I can't imagine your medical conditions are that bad. You sound like a very intelligent young person, and I really appreciate you asking that advice. My best advice, I don't think you should avoid bad thoughts for one thing. I think you should be actually acknowledging your thoughts and know that it's okay to have those thoughts. The one thing I would say is if your bad thoughts are like I'm worthless or I'm bad or something like that, remember to intercept those thoughts and to say I'm probably not worthless, or I'm probably not bad, or I'm probably not useless or something like that, or I'm probably not a bad person. And to actually dissect them and say realistically, am I a bad person? Am I this? And give yourself some factual information. Look back on your past and try and and that's one of the secrets and that's called cognitive behavioral therapy, dissecting the thoughts. So you shouldn't necessarily avoid bad thoughts, but you should challenge bad thoughts. And when you have those sort of thoughts, and it's okay to be wrong sometimes as well, and that's another thing, but I don't think those are the sort of thoughts you're dealing with. I think it would more be self-difficulty thoughts. And so I hope that's helpful, that advice there. Ding, 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 that's 10 in the box. Well, it looks like the band hammer's yeah, I'm very much, thank you, Medicine. I apologize if there's been some spamming. I've been trying my best to answer questions as fast as I can. Hey, Josh, I sometimes feel like, this is from Mac and Blue. I remember you, Mac and Blue. Feel like I can be a nuisance to people online, even to you. If I've ever annoyed you, I'm sorry. Mac and Blue, that's perfectly fine. You sound like a really sensitive, kind person, and you would never be a concern to me or a annoyance to me. I'm really happy to have you here, and I really appreciate you dropping in and just having the politeness to say that. But don't worry that much at all. As I said, sometimes people are more concerned about themselves than they are about how you're acting or what something you said. So take some solace in knowing that only you have to worry about you, no one else. Most people aren't worried about that. They're more concerned about what they said to you. So I hope that's a little help. Hey Josh, love these streams. You're most welcome, Pokemon fan. Thank you, I love doing them. Strider, I love how absurdly honest you are about TV and movies. Oh, well, thank you, Asha. What is it with these spams tonight? I don't know. Let's see. How do I deal with a hardcore racist family who makes fun of an Asian when I'm married to a Korean and live in Japan? Sunny Lucy, that's a rough one. I'm sorry that person, like you're dealing with racism, and there is no easy answer to racism, unfortunately, because there are just people like that in the world, and it is so frustrating at times, isn't it? And you can't get through to some people, unfortunately. There are some people, you want to shake your fist at them and say they're full of crap, but I don't know if that's always the best way to get through to a person like that, is to reach them with anger. It's certainly justifiable to want to be angry to those people. And sometimes there isn't a solution, I can say, to racism. You've got to remember that that's your family right there, and they're what matter. And you can choose family and you can choose friends. You can choose both of them. It's your life. You've chosen your husband or wife, and they are what's important to you, and what matters is how you two feel. So that's a mutual agreement between you two, I think. I hope I hope that was reasonable advice. I am so glad I couldn't sleep tonight. Thank you for being live. You're most welcome, Kari. I love doing these. Good work, do you like Mau Mau Heroes of Pure Heart? I'm just answering mainly mental health questions tonight, Joshua. I'm not sure I'm doing a very good job of it, but Sunny Lucy, thank you so much for your answer. I will keep your advice in mind. Have a lovely evening. You're most welcome, Sunny Lucy. I'm wishing you the best of luck. I just want to say I was contemplating suicide last... Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Nobody. And I'm fine now, but my friends and some of your vids helped. I just want to say thank you so much for what you do. Mr. Nobody, you're very welcome. I love doing this, and this here tonight, talking with this community, it just means so much to me, and I love talking about a subject I'm passionate about. Seeing you guys and your lives and what matters to you and what you're going through, because it shows us we're all people here with our own complex issues and challenges, and to see those firsthand is a great honor to me. So thank you for coming in tonight. Strider, I have Asperger's and CP, and nothing would bring me joy, and I feel like the world would be better off if I were dead. Lone Wolf, I hope you know that's not true, and I hope you can find something that could bring you joy. And if you are honestly feeling like that, I would strongly encourage you to speak to a family member about it, speak to an actual professional about it, because one of the things we should always have is we should be feeling joy, like something that gives us pleasure in our lives. Like you should have something that brings you joy, and when nothing can bring you pleasure, it's worth actually, I think, speaking to a professional about that, because that can be a sign of serious issues. And remember that it's okay to talk to someone about it. It's very important you talk to someone about it. Even here, thank you for actually saying something here, because there are people who care about you, I can promise you that. Anna Alton says, hey Josh, I have a very big anxiety about death. Oh, me too, we're in the same park, Amar. And all that, like at night sometimes, and me too, I get it at 2 a.m. Right, sometimes gonna kill me, or going on planes, or the virus, and I want to calm down on that. Anna, I get that all the time. No. So no, at least you're not alone in those anxieties. What's the best advice for that? What do I do? For one thing, it's statistically so unlikely that you'll be killed, and sometimes the best thing to do is to ride out that anxiety. Note actually what time you get your anxiety at night about death or whatever, or being killed or something like that, and actually sit yourself down, wait for the anxiety attack, wait for the thoughts, and actually breathe through them and allow them to happen. And you may find that every time you breathe through them, don't try and run from them, acknowledge them, and also piece it apart a bit for yourself. Actually face those thoughts and say, am I likely? Like, statistically, this is so unlikely. And so it's a very tough one, that one, but that's the first thing that I tend to do, is I tend to actually ride through the thoughts and just say, it's okay, you're perfectly safe, you're fine, and all you can do is be in this moment right now and breathe through it. And you'll find that every time you breathe through those emotions, every time you breathe through those anxiety attacks, they'll get less and less acute and intense each following night. And that's the beauty about it, is that you can actually expose yourself to it and accept those thoughts. And you'll find that those thoughts become less pervasive over time. Another thing to do is check in with yourself. I started doing a vlog for a while, just a private vlog, where every night I would say, I'm a 4 out of 10 tonight, I'm a 3 out of 10, a 5 out of 10, and I would talk a little bit about my feelings, and I kept a vlog of that for 3 weeks, and it helped hugely with my mental health, because it allowed me to ground myself. And when you are having those scary thoughts, Amar, also remember to ground yourself after, to actually focus on 2 things you can see. 3 things you can see. Focus on 3 things you can hear. Focus on a couple of things you can feel. Can you feel the carpet underneath you? Can you feel the couch? And that will actually ground you back in the moment. So that's another piece of advice. And it's getting really dark, I realize. Sorry, guys. Is there any last questions? I really want to do this again. So I apologize if I can't answer all the questions in the comments, but I will definitely do these again in the future, because I absolutely loved doing this. My brain seems, this is from Cadpic, my brain seemed to have mixed thoughts on death. Some days I want to go, oh dear, while other days I'm terrified of death, like, not really what happens afterwards, it's horrifying. Yeah, it is, Cadpig, and honestly, all I would say to that is that it's okay to be scared. Actually, the majority of what my advice actually comes from a place of those thoughts, and saying all you can do is be here in the moment right now, saying that It's okay to be scared. Frankly, one way of looking at it, I find, is actually saying that you've actually been dead for 13 billion years. This is actually just what we're having now is a vacation from death for 50, 60, whatever the hell we get. And, you know, before you were born, so you've been dead before you were born. And you were all right with it then. It's just like that little time in between that's a bit scary, isn't it? So know that it's perfectly okay to be scared. And when you have those scary thoughts, that's actually where I introduce acceptance commitment therapy, saying, allow those thoughts, breathe through them and say, these thoughts don't have to control me. I can acknowledge these thoughts and have them, away from my face, but I don't necessarily have to have these thoughts of death all over my face, completely covering my face. I can move my hands away so I can see them, but they don't dominate and entangle my life. So I hope that helps a little bit. Remember, though, when we run away from our thoughts, they're like quicksand. They start to entangle us, and they'll capture us more and more. So it's okay to accept those thoughts, and when you accept them, they become less and less dominant and less scary each time. I hope that might have been a little help. Not to see someone about the fact that I can feel jokes, I'll lock me up in a nut house. No one is going to lock you up in a nut house, lone wolf. I want you to know that is very bad advice, and that you need to see someone, and if he says you're going to be locked up in a nut house, that is terrible advice, because no one wants to lock you up in a nut house because it costs the government too much money. If you are functioning and doing okay and not trying to kill anyone or anything, like, of course not. You need to actually seek someone else so you can get better, because you deserve to feel some joy and have some pleasure in your day, have pleasurable activities. So I hope you don't listen to that advice, lone wolf. I really would encourage to see someone, whether that family member likes it or not. Okay? Thanks for the advice, Josh. I'm just still learning how to deal with intrusive thoughts. You're most welcome, Just Carowin. I love talking about it, and I'm going to do another of these when there's more light, but hopefully this has been a little bit helpful. I want to write an epic story that everyone will love, but I feel like I don't succeed. It's pointless and I don't have much left. Asher, the hardest part is sometimes writing that story and walking away from those thoughts that say, this is terrible, this is stupid. But actually getting that story out, even if you're the only one that reads it, is the most important part. Getting it started and getting it out. Who cares if it's stupid? Everything's pointless. Point is a human constructed thing. You do it, and if you get pleasure out of doing it, do it. And I think that's a great idea. Post it on DeviantArt. No one's ever read my story, my novel. It's like 40,000 words, but you do it anyway. So I hope that was helpful. Oliver, you're most welcome. Thank you so much for all your help, Medicine Monday. I appreciate it. Hey Josh, how do you feel when I chat with you? The previous comment told me about being Jeff, meaning the Jeff you know on Facebook. Oh, Jeff, I love talking with you, Jeff. We were just talking the other day. We were talking about a really interesting conversation. So, no, I really enjoy our chats. Guys, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to go because it's getting really dark, and I've finally gotten out of the forest back to my car. I hope you guys have, this has been of some help to you. Again, deepest apologies if I've missed your question, but I hope I was able to answer a couple of questions. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. See you soon.